division title. And a lot happening in the ACC with Clemson's huge loss last night against Syracuse. Georgia Tech deferring to the second half. This is Jeff Thomas on the kick return, and he's chopped down at the 17-yard line. And that's where quarterback Malik Rozier will take over for Miami. First-year starter out of Mobile, Alabama. 6'1", 216 pounds. Undefeated as a starter. And trying to follow in that long line of quarterbacks. And they're a great history in Miami. Two-sport star, and like my partner Rod Gilmore, he could hit the breaking ball a little bit.
Yeah, but he hit it a lot farther. You know, he yanked one out of the park in his very first at-bat in college baseball.
Pretty good start. Let's see what kind of start he gets here today. Travis Homer, number 24 there in the backfield. You see on Skycam getting the start for the injured Mark Walton, who had season-ending ankle surgery on Monday. 1st and 10 for Miami. Little run pass option. Rozier under duress and falls under heat from Desmond Branch, number 99. That's going to be a loss on 1st down.
Yeah, surprisingly on the first play, good penetration by Georgia Tech, and Rozier nowhere to go, had no option, and then lost his footing. That field is a little slippery. We were down there before the game.
Loss of 12, Rod, on 1st down. 2nd down and 22 back at the 4. We'll see if Amon Richards is out there today. He was questionable before the game with a hamstring injury. He's one of their top receivers. This is Homer running it into the boundary. A nice gain out near the 15-yard line. So he'll get back 11 yards, setting up 3rd down. In about 11 to go. Step Durham making the stop for Georgia Tech.
When you talk about Homer getting his first start, there will be an awful lot of pressure on him to carry the workload. Probably more carries today than he's had all season. 25 coming into the ball game. He'll get close to that.
Yeah, comes in with a pretty healthy average of almost 9 yards per rush. On 3rd and 11, Rozier. He gives the Canes a running option, but not enough room that time. And Georgia Tech defensively has been much improved this year as they get a 3-and-out from Miami on the first series of the game.
Good start for them. Playing a nice, soft zone, testing the patience of Rozier. No place for him to go with that ball. And Miami, quickly, as you said, 3-and-out. Did not look like they had much rhythm going that opportunity.
Zach Fiegel's into punt. Brad Stewart back at his own 40-yard line for Georgia Tech. Eagles averaging about 39 yards per punt this year. Gets up a high spiral. Great hang time out of bounds at about the 41-yard line. So the Yellow Jackets will start off with very good field position here on their first offensive set. 41-yard punt, nothing on the return. Taquan Marshall at quarterback. First-year starter, 5'10", 180 pounds, out of Hamilton, Georgia. Getting the directions from head coach Paul Johnson there on the sidelines. He has seen several position changes and now ends up the starting quarterback.
He's a guy with a good high school quarterback. Expected to be one here. Got moved to running back, and after injuries and the like, he's back at quarterback, and boy is he special.
Benson the lone back in this option attack. And a sack immediately on that midline option. Chad Thomas there, a.k.a. Major 9, joined by Trent Harris.
Yeah, this is a very aggressive Miami defense. They don't believe in sitting back playing the option. They believe in attacking nonstop.
2nd down and 12 coming up. Ball at the 39-yard line. Miami down a couple of guys on defense in the secondary. Talk about that a little bit later. Marshall back to pass and sacked by Harris, his 2nd one of the game.
And that is simply speed winning. Harris at 6'2", 248, quick first step. There he is on the outside, beats the guard, and no place for Marshall to go. I mean, we're just talking quickness there.
3rd and long, not the kind of situation that this Georgia Tech offense is built for.
What's going on, man? Everybody's going backwards.
They give it to the dive man, Benson, and 3 and out for this Miami Hurricane defense on the gain of 3 yards. So the defenses with respective upper hands on the opening series of the ball game. There's a look at Benson, one of their leading rushers, second leading rusher behind the quarterback Taquan Marshall. 4th and 15. And there's Braxton Berrios standing at his own 20-yard line for the Hurricanes. Presley Harvin set to punt for Georgia Tech. Returnable by Berrios. Makes a nice cut. And into Georgia Tech territory at the 45.
Jonesy, it's a low kick, a line drive kick that gives Berrios plenty of time. Look how low this is. Watch all the room he has to make a decision. Easy to make one guy miss. Now he's got a lane. But when you get a kick like that, you've got time to make good decisions, and Berrios did.
And a 34-yard punt return by Berrios. One of the 3 receivers set up to the top of your screen. Had a big week last week in that win against Florida State with a couple of touchdown catches. Rozier out of the shotgun, has time, and incomplete at the 40-yard line, intended for Herndon. Quint? Q?
Berrios has been clutch. He's been gutsy. In the words of Mark Richt, he's just been flat out awesome this season. As you said, 8 receptions last week. He scored a touchdown in the last 4 consecutive games, and he's the favorite target of Malik Rozier. And without Walton in the backfield and Amon Richards right now is on the bike on their bench, Berrios may be the prime target.
Yeah, you would guess they'll be leaning on him a lot, Q. 2nd and 10. This is Homer, squaring those shoulders, keeps those legs moving for the first down. Got a great block out front, Rod, from Trevor Darling, and a gain of 11.
Yeah, Jonesy, he's not the home run threat that Walton is, but he is a tough inside runner. He's more likely to run over you than to run around you. He will dip that shoulder, and you saw it on that last play.
Native of West Palm Beach, Florida. Gives Miami a first down and 10. That time, quarterback Rozier kept himself, and that's something that they didn't have last year, Rod, with Brad Kaya at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
A running threat now.
Yeah, this guy, Rozier, will run. He is a tough runner, and actually they need him to run a lot more now with Walton out. Their second leading rusher. Rick understands the importance of having his quarterback make some plays with his feet.
2nd down and 8. Mark Richt calling the plays on offense for the Hurricanes. Homer into the boundary, showing a nice burst to pick up another Miami first down at the 20-yard line. A missed tackle on the play by Victor Alexander, a 12-yard gain.
Yeah, really good speed getting to the edge. You see them pull both guards. Linebackers are caught inside. Mitchell can't get there, but that's a good job of getting to the edge quickly with those inside interior linemen.
Miami finding a little bit of rhythm here on this second offensive possession after that quick 3 and out opening game. On the reverse, this is Thomas, and good close by Georgia Tech defensively.
And not falling for that one. No, not with Austin out there.
Yeah, Lawrence Austin, one of the leaders in the secondary, one of the Austin brothers back there.
Yeah, he is a very smart player, incredibly disciplined, hard to fool him. He felt that reverse coming all the way and was in perfect position.
Jeff Thomas saw a lot of action in practice, got a lot of reps for Miami, number 4 in place of Amon Richards. 2nd down and 5. Into the end zone, the fade, incomplete.
Anything my brother does, I can do better.
That was Lance Austin defending Mike Harley.
This is really well played. Single coverage. He knows that jump balls will be big today. He gets out there and he's completely on Harley and just out jumps him to make this play. That's a tremendous one-on-one play.
Brings up an interesting 3rd down and about 5 to go for Miami. From the 16-yard line, there's a look at the Austin brothers. Remember, it was Lance that had that fumble recovery off the block field goal against Florida State a couple of years ago for that memorable touchdown in the victory. Different situation today. 3rd and 5 for Miami. Into the end zone again. Incomplete again. Lance Austin defending well for Georgia Tech. Intended for Deontay Mullins, number 84.
Yeah, they go right back at Austin again, but he's up to the challenge. Nothing fancy here, one-on-one, and he gets up. He's in perfect position. Another heck of a play in the end zone. That is some serious one-on-one coverage by Austin.
Looked like Mullins actually got his hands on it. Meanwhile, Michael Badgley in to attempt this field goal. He's 5 of 6 on the season. This one coming from 34 yards out. And he knocks it through. Hurricanes up 3-0. After a slow start last week against Florida State, they get on the board first here in Miami Gardens. From hot and humid Miami Gardens, Florida, you're watching the ACC on ESPN from Hard Rock Stadium. Miami Hurricanes taking a lead on a 33-yard field goal a moment ago. And they lead it 3-0 on the board first this week as opposed to last week. And tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, folks, 5 Pacific on ABC. Utah heads into the Coliseum to take on number 13 USC. The game also streaming live on the ESPN app. See how Utah bounces back, perhaps, after losing against Stanford last week at home. From the 7-yard line, this is Cottrell. And he is met short of the 25-yard line by a host of Miami tacklers led by Derek Smith. It has been a very turbulent, somewhat disjointed year for the Hurricanes. Of course, Mother Nature playing a big part of that. In week 2, the Arkansas State game was canceled due to Hurricane Irma. Then the Florida State game was postponed due to the Hurricane Irma, and they had to relocate to Orlando and play a Friday night game against Duke. Then the Florida State game was a little bit different because they prepared for it by practicing at the Dolphins indoor facility. So finally back home and achieving a sense of normalcy for the Hurricanes. Toss into the boundary and a good gain here for Georgia Tech. Their best of the game so far. Quay Searcy with a 7-yard pickup.
Well, you saw that Georgia Tech reacted to that first series. Miami attacking everything inside, and Georgia Tech decides this time, you know what? We're not going to fight that. We'll just go outside. We'll just toss it and get out there quickly. You see that Miami walks up their linebackers inside. They're being very aggressive inside to try and take away that dive of the option play.
7.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. The toss to the other side. This is Clinton Lynch, and he picks up the first down. So, Rod, already we've seen what? The midline option and the toss sweep, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, they don't always run the option, but when they do, they run it pretty well. But, you know, 20-25% of the time is option football. But a toss is just a toss sweep. There's nobody unblocked. When you talk about option football, you're talking about the guys, 1 or 2 guys they don't block, so that they get better numbers for the guys they want to block.
Saw Paul Johnson. He calls the plays for Georgia Tech. There's another toss. Lynch with a good gain, and he gashes Miami. Lynch on the loose. Finally tackled at a 17-yard line. That's what happens sometimes. They go combustible and break a long one. Stewart with a nice block on the edge.
Well, you're so concerned inside. Watch the Miami linebackers. They get cut off. Both linebackers are cut off. They can't go from inside to outside to make a play. And the result is a 48-yard run.
First and 10 from the 17. They toss it into the boundary. This is Searcy. And a gain of about 6 on the play. Michael Pickney making the tackle, Quinn.
Mark, Miami, as you mentioned, they're playing with 2 new members of the secondary, and that's showing up in some of their alley outside run fits. Ricky June just made a devastating block on that Lynch long run with Delaney and Shedrick Redwine out from Miami. I think that's what Paul Johnson is trying to attack right now, more the secondary than the interior of this D-line.
Yeah, Q, Miami's so committed inside. Johnson's reacting to get to the edge.
They give it to the first man through, and close to another first down. That's Kervonte Benson. Run for 476 yards coming to the ball game today. The second leading rusher behind the quarterback, Taquan Marshall. And it's 1st and goal for Georgia Tech.
Right now, Johnson has Miami a little bit off balance. Going to the edge, Benson, see his numbers, 5.6-yard average. But they go to the edge and comes back with Benson inside. He's got him guessing right now.
1st and goal. Marshall kept it himself, and he's tackled immediately by Kendrick Norton. It'll be 2nd and goal. Manny Diaz telling us that Norton and McIntosh were going to be huge for them up front today, along with linebackers Quarterman and Pickney.
Well, Norton he's a load inside. He's the guy that can handle that dive. He can disengage from center and make a tackle by himself. If he's disruptive, Georgia Tech will struggle inside.
2nd and goal. Marshall on the toss. Searcy. Touchdown, Georgia Tech. Lynch. And Green actually with the score.
Jonesy, triple option. They take the dive, they take the quarterback. Great decision by Marshall at the end to get it to Green, and then Green just fights to get inside the pylon. That is your classic triple option on the goal line.
And they're going to review this one, and you saw the ball come loose as J.J. Green started to lose it. All right, welcome everyone to Miami Gardens, Florida. Georgia Tech taking a 6-3 lead just a moment ago on a J.J. Green run, and just a moment ago, after scoring, the officials reviewing the touchdown, or was it? There's the play, and the ball coming loose.
Yeah,
now where did it come loose? That's the question.
Well, it was ruled a touchdown on the field. They're looking to see, 1, did he break the plane with the ball before he lost the ball? And 2, did he step out of bounds? Now, to me, that looks like he broke the plane with the ball before losing possession. Now, what about the foot? I think he doesn't step on white to me before that ball crosses the line.
Waiting for the call on the field.
I don't see anything
was a
that
touchdown.
Turn that
After
over.
review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So Georgia Tech with a touchdown, taking a 6-3 lead. This in response to Miami's field goal on their last possession, a 33-yard field goal, which temporarily gave them the lead. But Georgia Tech coming back, and Sean Davis, who's had issues this year with his place kicking, in for the extra point. And Georgia Tech taking a 7-3 lead, trying to snap a 7-game losing streak against Miami. Back after this.
Welcome to Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
And welcome back, everyone, to Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. It has been a very exciting week here in South Florida, with the Hurricanes at 4-0, taking on Georgia Tech. Both teams undefeated, 2-0 in conference play. Mark Jones, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick down on the field, joining us in just a bit. Rod, Miami hasn't lost going back to last year in 9 straight games. A lot of talk after Florida State being defeated by Miami last week that they're back.
Yeah, a lot of pats on the back.
Oh,
Beware
yeah.
the pat on the back. It might hold you back. And, you know, Georgia Tech has heard all the talk, too. Miami thinking it's their thing to roll with. Georgia Tech's like, we've not beaten these guys in a long time. They're motivated as well.
And they've come out and taken a 7-3 lead. Let's go down to Quint.
I think there are 3 issues for the Miami Hurricanes this afternoon. The one, as you guys mentioned, the emotion of that Florida State win, hitting the reset button and moving ahead. Second would be injuries. They're playing without 4 starters from that game, including their best running back, Mark Walton, and 2 members of the secondary. And then the third, you know, the monotony of playing against a triple option offense, playing assignment football for 60 minutes, taking the dive, the quarterback keep, and the pitch. It can test any defense, both mentally and physically.
It's not fun. Not fun, Q. Not fun.
First down and 10 from the 25. Rozier, the first-year starter, hands it on to the backup tailback, Gray, with his first carry of the ball game. Walton had season-ending surgery on Monday, making Travis Homer the #1 tailback. 2nd and 9. Malik Rozier with that huge comeback, big drive at the end of the game last week, and he took a couple of hits last week against Florida State. Mitchell with the tackle that time on Rozier.
What a week for Rozier. I mean, beating Florida State, and all of a sudden you are in Miami lore. Your 6th start, and everybody's texting you, calling you, telling you how great you are. You're the second coming, and you're trying to focus on Georgia Tech.
Got to stop from getting high on your own vapors, and it's tough to do when people are patting you on the back, like you said. 3rd down and 6. Taking a shot, and incomplete. Intended for Lawrence Cager, the long and lanky receiver, 6'5", working against the 5'11" Step Durham, and another 3 and out for Georgia Tech's defense.
Well, Rozier is a bit of a streaky passer anyway. You know, he started hot against Duke. He was a little shaky when he started last week against Florida State, but he doesn't care. That doesn't bother him. He can have 4 or 5 bad throws in a row and just bounce back from it.
He was actually in the stands the last time Miami defeated Florida State back in 2009 as a young teenager, watching Ja'Cory Harris lead the Hurricanes to victory.
Center snap infraction. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
And it was interesting that Mark Richt, in wake of that win at Florida State, where he used to be the offensive coordinator, said, "This is about as much fun as I've had in football in a long time." As the Hurricanes try to turn the corner, get back to the days when they dominated the college football landscape. 5 national championships. The Eagles going to try it again here. Stewart back at the 27. And nowhere to go, held up short of the 30 at the 29. Good coverage by the Hurricanes. Rozier going to wait this one out. Hope for the defense to do its thing when we come back.
You're watching Dos Equis Tailgate Week.
And welcome back, everyone, to college football presented by Walmart. Part of Dos Equis Tailgate Week. Georgia Tech with the football, leading 7-3. They come into the game 3-1 overall, 2-0 in ACC Coastal Division play. They lost their opener against Tennessee, and that guy right there, the starting quarterback, Taquan Marshall, was spectacular, albeit in defeat against the Vols. He hands it off this time. On the pitch to Cottrell, still on the loose, and another big gain for Georgia Tech. Jaquan Johnson making the tackle.
Well, they opened up the game, Georgia Tech did, doing a tremendous job trying to run inside. Miami took all that away, and Paul Johnson has almost exclusively attacked them on the edge since then. They've done a good job of cutting off the linebackers, not allowing them to get out there and get to the quarterback or get to the pitch. But right now, the perimeter run game is really hurting Miami.
Yeah, they've Look like they've really deciphered something in Miami's defense. Handoff is to Benson. Broke a couple of tackles. Determined running by Benson all the way down to the 31.
Well, you know, Paul Johnson has an itch he's just scratching right now. I mean, he knows that Miami wants to be aggressive and they want to stop the dive, and he's getting to the edge. And those inside linebackers who really need to play well, Quarterman 55 and Pinckney 56, are getting caught up in traffic and getting cut off.
And you say the word cut. Cut blocks, a big part of today's game. 15-yard gain. Another first down and another toss to the wide side of the field. That time slowed up and stopped. Searcy with nowhere to go.
You know, you talked about Marshall and his winning the quarterback job. You know, he was a big-time star in a very small town. And he grew up about 1,000 people in his town, and he was such a star at football. His mother gave him media training.
He does good interviews.
They can say, I don't want you walking around town uncomfortable, talking to people, you know, when they're ready for you. And you know what? That poise showed up in his very first game against Tennessee when he went off, and you'll see that poise the rest of this ball game.
College football on ABC is presented by Walmart. Walmart, save money, live better. And in part by Audi.
That's a pretty happy busload of students being bussed up I-95 from Coral Gables down in campus. College football presented by Walmart. Georgia Tech leading 7-3. Mark Jones, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick here at Hard Rock Stadium. And this Georgia Tech offense has gashed this Hurricane defense on several occasions. Marshall on the late toss. Searcy got a lane. And another good gain for that offense. 14-yard pickup by Searcy.
Jonesy, just watch the guys inside. They're just cutting off those linebackers. See how slow and far behind they are because those linemen are getting out and cutting them.
Manny Diaz telling us earlier this week that this is a different type of animal when you play option football or against it. They give it to the first man, the dive man. That's Benson. And Benson with another first down for Georgia Tech with under a minute to go here in the first quarter.
We were just talking about that, right? Yep. Johnson is like a pitcher postseason on the mound. He doesn't have a play card. He feels the game. He's looking out there and he's like, you know what? I feel them leaning. I feel them crashing inside. You know, they're trying to get outside now. We're going to come back inside.
So you're saying
he dive on him now.
He's not a big analytics guy. He's going by feel.
He feels it. He sees it. He feels it. He just has a knack for it.
First and goal. First man through, Benson with nowhere to go. They stuck the run. And that's going to be the end of the first quarter of play with Georgia Tech threatening deep in Miami territory with a 7-3 lead. Hurricane scored first on a 33-yard field goal, but the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets answering and threatening again. College football continues after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to college football presented by Walmart, part of Dos Equis Tailgate Week. And what a week it has begun as, Rod Gilmore. Number 2, Clemson. Number 8, Washington State. Both being surprised and upset yesterday. An opportunity for the Hurricanes.
We've got something brewing right here. Georgia Tech dominated that first quarter, and they're threatening right now. 16 runs in the first quarter, and they didn't have to think about throwing it.
Piling up the yards on second and goal here for Taquan Marshall at quarterback. Toss into the boundary. Green stopped up short of the end zone. It's going to be 3rd and goal for Georgia Tech. Remember, they've had some place kicking issues with Sean Davis, so you wonder if maybe if they're this deep, Rod, do they go for it on a 4th down, as we have an injured player down in the field for Miami? That's number 33, Trent Harris.
Yeah, Harris got off to a fast start today. Got a sack on the very first series. Was fairly disruptive early before Georgia Tech decided that they weren't going to battle trying to run inside. They decided that they would go to the edge.
Miami, if you just joined us, already down a couple of guys on defense in the secondary. Sheldrick, we're at Redwine, and D. Delaney, a couple of starters on the back line.
And that has already shown up. You know, we've seen some big runs by Georgia Tech, and we've seen some of those replacements step in with bad pursuit angles, which allowed Georgia Tech to get some significant runs.
You played the position. What's it like going against an option? How tricky is it?
Hate
How
it.
nuanced?
Hate it. It's not any fun.
You liked it that much?
Well, in the secondary, you have two choices. One, you're playing man coverage all day, or you're playing pitch, you know, and run support. And when you're doing that, you got to deal with people trying to take your knees out all game. None of it's fun.
A lot of stuff going on. 3rd and goal. Marshall going to pass. Wide open, room service, touchdown, J.J. Green. Pickney had him in his grasp. He had Marshall in his grasp, Rod, but couldn't bring him down. And what a throw by Taquan Marshall.
Poise, Jonesy. We talked about the poise that Marshall has. Remember, in his very first start against Tennessee, he went for 249 yards rushing. Got into the end zone 5-6 times. First game, national television, was not bothered by it. You saw the poise on that play. Distress all around him, kept his composure, and delivered the football.
Yeah, Paul Johnson says that he has not shrunk from the spotlight and the big moment. Hey, Rod, he must have heard us talk about the fact that they haven't thrown the ball yet.
Hey, and when he throws it, he's not looking for first downs. He wants touchdowns. And he had Green all by himself.
He made the first pass count. Georgia Tech with a 14-3 lead. Oklahoma trying to bounce back after being upset last week. Clemson and Washington State already upset this week in the top 10. Hurricanes, number 11, under duress here. Jeff Thomas on the kickoff return. Hurricanes looking for a play. Rod, what was the key on that last Georgia Tech touchdown? We'll talk about it after this flag. But Georgia Tech, an 8-play, 70-yard touchdown drive. They've kind of taken the juice out of the building here for the Hurricanes. Green with a couple of touchdowns for Georgia Tech. One rushing and one receiving.
2 players participating on the receiving team, both wearing number 33. 5-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the run. First down.
Well, that's the old banana in the tailpipe if I ever saw one, right?
Hey, wait, they're engineers. they can figure out numbers, right?
2 number 33s.
Can't have 2 33s out there.
Hey, man, they make you take calculus at Georgia Tech, man. I mean, shoot, that's an easy one. Oh, it was actually against Miami. But still, in that kind of disjointed start for the Hurricanes. Rozier completes his first pass. Berrios, the ACC's receiver of the week, gets the first down, brought down by Victor Alexander. As I mentioned, the first completion by Malik Rozier. Talked about him getting a lot of congratulatory texts in wake of that Florida State victory. Heard from Ja'Cory Harris, former quarterback, and a lot of the greats here at Miami, like Gino Torretta.
You know, you just had a feeling
Georgia Tech player.
This could be that kind of a week. Like the stars were aligned, you know, to conspire against Miami.
Full timeout.
Brant Mitchell, Rod, the Georgia Tech player, shaken up. We're going to take a short break and come right back.
College football on ABC, presented by Walmart, is brought to you by Pacific Life. Experience the power of Pacific. Buick, proud partner of the NCAA. And Dos Equis. Stay thirsty. Enjoy responsibly.
Tell you what, the first tailgate that shows me a little paella or some arroz con pollo, I'm in on that. Welcome to ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Walmart, part of Dos Equis Tailgate Week. And the home team down by 14-3 here in the second quarter. I'm Mark Jones alongside Rod Gilmore, chopping it up with Quint Kesnick down on the sidelines. The Canes a little bit rattled defensively. And right now, Malik Rozier at quarterback trying to bring them back. Rozier, the first-year starter, with his second completion of the game. That one to Jeff Thomas. Now, Rozier, Rod, when he actually had 2 game-winning drives last week against Florida State, automatically put himself into hurricane lore.
Well, Mark Richt said that might have been his defining moment as a quarterback. And it's only his 6th start. He needed 2 game-winning drives against Florida State. Got it done. And just think about his week. I mean, he's been praised. Everybody's like, man, you're it. You got this going. And, you know, Georgia Tech comes to town focused.
Georgia Tech feels that they gave this one away last year to Miami. That's Travis Homer filling in for Mark Walton, who had surgery on Monday. Q?
Yeah, Jonesy, keep in mind for Rozier, this is only his 6th career start. And Georgia Tech and Ted Roof, their defensive coordinator, really focused on keeping him in the pocket, taking away his escapability and his freelance ability. And when you're Rozier today operating without Walton, without Amon Richards, there's some question marks to who your weapons are going to be. And so far, Chris Herndon, their tight end, has been quiet as well.
3rd and 1, and they're going to get enough for the first down. Homer with a tough run brought down by Simmons. And, you know, you think about the quarterbacks at the University of Miami, though. Kelly, Kosar, Testaverde, Erickson, Torretta, Dorsey, NFL guys, and then some.
Well, and Rozier has, in my view, that toughness of a Kosar, of a Torretta. You know, he can take a beating and hang in there. And follow up on Q's point, you know, he talked about everything he's missing. He'll miss the football a lot today because Georgia Tech frustrates you by keeping it away from you.
They've got the edge in time of possession so far. Rozier on the out, off the mark, had his guy open, Mike Harley.
You know, all of those things that Q was talking about, being forced to stay in the pocket, you know, the notion that you're missing some star receivers, your timing is off because you're on the sideline a little bit. All that stuff impacts throws like that, Q.
Yeah, and the slow start's nothing new. But what I loved about Rozier last week, in Tallahassee, he was taking the field, waving the crowd on. There was a certain swagger, there was a certain poise. I haven't seen that energy from him today.
Rozier, growing up a University of Miami fan, kept it himself and picks up another first down, brought down by Lawrence Austin. 13-yard gain for Malik Rozier.
Yeah, just a little zone read and get the defensive end sliding down, and he has a wide open hole there to take, and this is the sort of thing that can get him going. He is a tough guy. He's not going to be flustered by a couple bad throws.
Homer got to the edge, still on his feet. And Homer down to the 20-yard line. First down, Miami. A.J. Gray making the tackle for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, freshman receiver Jeff Thomas with a great block in that second level, which opened up a huge lane for Homer. You'll see him coming your screen right there. Number 4 blocking 2 guys, and Homer uses it effectively to get to the edge.
Miami up at the line of scrimmage quickly. Rozier keeps it himself and slides safely and wisely at the 20-yard line. Something they didn't have last year, quarterback with Brad Kaya. They've got a running threat with Malik Rozier. First-year starter. Brad Kaya, a good buddy of his.
Yeah, he's one of the guys who texted Rozier this week and said, hey, got it rolling. You finally knocked off Florida State, something I couldn't do.
Trayon Gray in the backfield. 2nd and 10. Gray hurdles a tackler and brought down just shy of the 15-yard line. Picked up 5 on the play. Jordan Swilling and Alexander making the tackle for Georgia Tech.
You know, I think, and Q might agree with this might be the time and place on the field you would expect Miami to come in with their tall receivers. They've got a couple guys 6'5", Q. They did not use down here last time.
Yeah, Langham now on the field, though, number 81. This is the 10th play of the drive. Langham is split to the top of your screen. He comes back the other way. Rozier, incomplete. Intended for Mike Harley. Just off the mark.
I'm still surprised that they tried the fade routes with Harley. That's the second time they've done that. There's been good coverage by Austin both times. He's 5'9". Q, they've got a couple 6'5" guys that they could use down here.
Yeah, well, obviously, Amon Richards is probably not going to be playing today. The other guy, Lawrence Cager, was actually having his knee brace taken off and then put back on, so he wasn't active in that series.
Yeah, Q, there's Richards on the sideline. Re-injured his hamstring last week in Tallahassee. This is Badgley in for another field goal attempt. Made one earlier from 33. This one from 32. The line drive is good, and Miami now trails by 8, 14-6. Trying to keep that football away from Georgia Tech, though. They have the lead when we return. Taco Bell student section. Taco Bell is a proud partner of the College Football Playoff. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these all season long. Fans here have been relatively quiet so far. Miami down 14-6. Cottrell on the return. Fumbled it. Ball came loose. And Georgia Tech recovered it. Number 80, Jalen Camp, was there to pounce on it for Georgia Tech. Remember, Georgia Tech had a couple of fumbles last year that really cost them. Back-to-back fumbles ended up in Miami Hurricane touchdowns, which prompted Paul Johnson, their head coach, to tell us this week he feels like they almost gift-wrapped it for him last year.
Oh, it's 14 free points.
Yeah.
And they lost by 14.
And Michael Pickney and Shaquille Quarterman scooping them up and scoring. 1st and 10 for Georgia Tech. Already with 138 yards on the ground. This is Benson. Gain of about 3 on the play. Just under 10 minutes to go here in the first half. Good news for Georgia Tech. Clinton Lynch is back in the ball game for them, Rod.
Yeah, that's good to see. You know, Jonesy, you were talking about the option and how difficult it is. You know, the worst thing about it?
What's that?
Cut blocking. And they cut everybody. Those linemen are going after everybody.
2nd and 7. Marshall tosses it. Searcy. And Rod, let's get back to that. You talk about cut blocks. Does it look like Georgia Tech is in Miami's head that way? Does it look like they're in Miami's head in terms of diving at their legs?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, you just watch these guys dive. They're crawling almost to get at guys, knocking guys down on their legs and whatnot. Yeah, it's in your head because you want to protect your knees.
3rd and 2. Marshall hit, and it depends on the spot. It looked like he was stopped short of the first down. Shaquille Quarterman came in and made a big hit, and he's one of the guys that has to play well at linebacker for Miami.
Oh boy.
4th and short. They're going to go for it here.
Really? Really? Not a fan.
Wow, from
Not
their own 34-yard line.
You've been dominating this game. You've got momentum. You've really had them on their heels. This is a turnover if you don't get it, Jonesy. You give them a short field.
They're 4 or 5 on 4th downs this year. Play clock is going to expire.
Yeah, he thought better of it.
They call timeout. And we'll take a timeout right along with them and come right back after this. Georgia Tech leading Miami 14-6 as we continue coverage of the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week. 4th down and short coming up for the Yellow Jackets and head coach Paul Johnson.
He's going to go for it still, huh? I thought that timeout meant
you don't like
kick it away.
Move, huh?
No, I think it's awfully risky. You've dominated the game, and this is a turnover if you don't get it.
Marshall keeps it and gets the first down with a yard to spare. Taquan Marshall has been stellar since the beginning of the season. Came out in that game against Tennessee with 5 touchdowns in that overtime loss. And he is proving here early in this game that he is not afraid of the spotlight.
He's calm and cool.
Has 1 completion today. That completion for a touchdown. On the toss, Green. He was lucky to catch that. Let's go back to Cassidy in the studio. All right, Cassidy, 2nd and 9 coming up from the 37. Miami leads the ACC in turnovers, but unable to force one here so far today. Marshall keeps it and is brought down almost immediately by Charles Perry. Gain of 2 sets up a long 3rd down coming up for Georgia Tech. Clinton Lynch going to come into the ball game for the Yellow Jackets. Tell you, this option offense is a real equalizer. It's different.
Yeah.
We don't see a lot of this, right?
No. And this is really the key. You get him into a 3rd and long here, you should feel pretty good about your chances, and you should be assuming that Marshall's going to try to get to the edge. That or rolling and throwing it.
Marshall on the toss. And they come up short. Cottrell got stopped on the gain of 3, so the Hurricane defense coming up huge. That's Michael Pinckney, number 56.
Well, Hurricanes dominated that inside. They clogged up everything quickly, got penetration, and forced Marshall to pitch it faster, sooner than he wanted.
Those linebackers for Miami, Quarterman, Pinckney, McLeod, they played a lot as freshmen, and they are really the heart of that defense. Here's Berrios, who had the big week last week in Tallahassee. A rugby-style punt, a high spiral, and Berrios makes the catch all the way back at the 11-yard line. 89 yards away after the 47-yard punt. 1st and 10, Miami, when we come back.
Back in Hard Rock Stadium, Georgia Tech leading Miami. Time now for today's AFLAC trivia question. You guys ready upstairs?
Yes, sir.
What Pac-12 team had the most NFL draft picks in 2017? Pac-12. NFL draft picks in 2017.
2017.
U.S.
Going to give you guys a hint after this play.
If it's one of the L.A. schools. 1st and 10. Worst starting field position by either team. The pass behind Comer, but complete. Well, tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 Pacific, ABC heads to the Coliseum to take on USC, number 13, Utah USC. Game also streaming live on the ESPN app. Yeah, you know, I'm going to guess one of the LAs. I'm going to say USC.
Well, that's the easy answer. The assumption is always everybody gets drafted from USC.
Hey, man, I didn't go to Stanford, okay? Homer stopped up about 4 yards short. It'll be 3rd and 4. Homer running hard. And here's a look at the answer of our AFLAC trivia question. What Pac-12 team had the most NFL draft picks? Utah.
Holy moly, Utah.
All right.
You know, Kyle Whittingham runs a great program up there, and it just doesn't get any attention. Nobody realizes how good he is and how many players he turns out for the league.
Shout out to Salt Lake City. Rozier on the move. Flings it. Out of bounds. Incomplete. Intended for Thomas. Harley also in the neighborhood. And another slow start this week for Malik Rozier.
Yeah, I think he has only 3 completions and probably 10 attempts so far. But remember, he started the same way against Florida State. He can be streaky like that, but he doesn't get down on himself when that happens. But you think about everything that's missing. No Richards at wide receiver, no Walton at running back. The big play guys are not there, and grinding it out and missing those easy passes is hurting Miami right now.
Georgia Tech going to get good field position here after the punt. Fair catch called by Stewart at the 40-yard line after the 41-yard punt. Hurricanes have been a second-half team, though. Back after this. Pass incomplete, intended for Brad Stewart. There's a flag down on the play. Looks like we got pass interference on Robert Knowles.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 20. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Jonesy, this is the thing you hate about the option when you're a cornerback. All game long, coach tells you, you got one job, right? Man coverage, and it's option. Run, run, run. And then that happens. You give up a big play or a pass interference. Coach says to you, what's your job? Man coverage. Were you looking at your man? Yeah. Were you looking in the backfield? Yeah. Why? I don't know.
That's the way it goes,
yeah.
Huh?
So your job, man.
They lull you to sleep with that other stuff.
And it's easy for your eyes to drift and your mind to drift and go, I can go help on the run play. No, you can't. Play your man coverage.
Stick to your job, and Marshall tosses it. Lynch has an alley. First down and then some. Pushed out of bounds at about the 32-yard line. Got a player down for the Hurricanes at the 40-yard line. That's Michael Pinckney, one of the cornerstones defensively at linebacker.
You know, Jonesy, he's part of that linebacking set of McLeod and Quarterman and Pinckney. That threesome makes a lot of folks think about the old great Bermuda Triangle set of the 80s and 90s.
And Chad Thomas there also shaken up on the play for Miami.
On about the 40-yard line there, you see Pinckney coming over, and he just doesn't get the runner and seems to hurt himself as he rolls over. But it wasn't as if he was blocked. Just an awkward landing, it looked like.
And we mentioned earlier, this Miami team already hurting in wake of that Florida State game. A bunch of guys, starters, not available as a result of that. And there's number 9, Chad Thomas, coming to the sideline, starting defensive end out of Booker T. Washington, local product. Problems mounting for Mark Richt when we come back. Well, we see Pinckney going to the sidelines. Shaquille Quarterman hasn't been on the field recently either. Smith and McLeod in at linebacker, along with Owens for the Hurricanes. 1st and 10, meanwhile, for Georgia Tech. The give is to Cavante Benson. Quint?
Yeah, there's a certain celebratory nature of Miami defense, the way they've always played defense. But when you're playing assignment football, it's kind of just like doing your job and on to the next play. And we haven't seen the guys in green been able to rally. It's just really that first series, been able to get up and show some emotion and bounce around and get this crowd engaged, because they're just focused on doing their job.
Or they're getting cut, Q, and you're on the ground. It's hard to celebrate.
Toss to the wide side of the field. This is Green. And Green pushed out of bounds, a loss of 1. Great pursuit by Jaquan Johnson of the Hurricanes.
Now that's the way Miami wants to play that. They want that ball to go outside quickly and then just use your speed and treat it like a sweep. The problem is when Marshall has time to debate and make a decision and you don't force the issue right away, it strings everything out. He's got an option inside, he's got an option outside.
Manny Diaz, you saw him there on the screen, the defensive coordinator for Miami. Usually a big blitz guy, but this is a different type of animal. Timeout on the field by Georgia Tech.
27 rushes.
Wow.
In this option offense, 1 pass tonight for a touchdown.
Not exactly balanced, Rod.
They don't need it.
But it's working.
They don't need it.
Kick off your Week 6 with NFL Sunday Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Streaming live on the app. Randy Moss ranks the best catches from today's college football action in the latest You Got Mossed. Plus, Desmond Howard joins Countdown and takes a trip to Kansas City to talk to Tyreek Hill and find out how the Chiefs have become the league's most exciting offense. Marshall back to pass, has time, and suddenly enveloped back at the 27-yard line. R.J. McIntosh, one of the first ones to get there, limiting that gain to just 2 yards. 4th down coming up.
Yeah, this is good defense, and they keep Marshall in the pocket. He looks like he might slip away, but look at the reaction. Look how quickly Miami gets reactions from Jackson and others inside.
So Georgia Tech, we mentioned, has had issues with their place kicking this year, and Sean Davis, 4th and 6, they're going to go for it.
Yeah, now this is not a surprise. I mean, Johnson hinted to us earlier in the week that this kind of situation, he wouldn't try a field goal.
On 4th and 6, trying to pass. Complete. And good tackling by the Hurricanes, who will take over on downs. Ricky June stopped up about 2 yards short of the 1st down by Miami.
Malik Young does a great job on the corner out there, hanging with this. You'll see him come back in and turn this inside. And because he turned it inside, that allowed pursuit from the inside to keep June from getting to the 1st down. So credit ought to go to Malik Young, number 12 out there, making that play turn inside.
And Joe Jackson right there, number 99, in on the tackle as well. He had a scoop and score in that victory over Paul Johnson's Georgia Tech team last year. Under 2 minutes to go here in the 1st half. Miami limited to just 6 points so far. And it's been a quiet afternoon so far for their leading receiver, Braxton Berrios, number 8, lining up in the slot to the top of your screen. The handoff is to Homer, who picks up 2. Alexander with the tackle. Well, coming up on the State Farm halftime report, Kevin Ngandi, Mac Brown, and Booker McFarland in the studio, getting you up to speed. From the 25, 2nd down for Miami.
Jonesy, good battle out there between Berrios and Austin. Lawrence Austin, number 20, and Austin's been winning it so far.
Pass complete over the middle to Herndon, the tight end. Keeping the play alive, and his forward progress is going to be about a yard short of the 1st down, a 7-yard pickup.
Yeah, if they want to move the chains, Berrios has to be involved. And right now, everywhere he goes, he gets shadowed by 20 Austin.
On 3rd and 1, Homer picks up the 1st down for Miami. Miami with 3 timeouts remaining, perhaps trying to get into field goal range and get an attempt out of Michael Badgley.
You know, their clutch guy is 8, Berrios. We keep talking about him. And if they're going to get something done in the last minute here, they got to find a way to free him up.
3 receiver formation. Rozier complete, and there's the guy we've been talking about the last couple of moments. Berrios with the catch. Lawrence Austin defending.
Yeah, he's the guy that can make the clutch catch, get you the 3rd down catch, move the chains for you. You need that now. Now, how does Georgia Tech continue to deal with him? Is it still Lawrence Austin's duty to handle him?
Berrios a 3.95 GPA in entrepreneurship. High snap. Scooped up by Rozier. Pass is caught miraculously at the 49 by Mullins. Wow. 10 yards and a 1st down.
Composure. He hurries, but he does not rush. Is Mullins' feet inside? Yeah.
Rozier just didn't pounce on the ball. He made something out of the play. Incomplete. Missed his man, Langham, who had the game-winning touchdown last week against Florida State. He only played in 2 plays last week.
Yeah.
His second one was for the game winner.
That's a pretty good average.
I'd say.
We talked about Rozier going down in Miami lore. Well, Langham is right there with him.
Performing under the watchful eyes of Hurricane legends here this afternoon. Michael Irvin, Ray Lewis, Gino Torretta, and a bunch of others. And a little movement on that right side of the offensive line for Miami.
Number 65.
Corey Gaynor, number 65.
5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's a momentum killer right there, Rod.
Well, Georgia Tech's defensive coordinator, Ted Roof, has done a tremendous job of keeping Rozier in the pocket and not allowing him to be athletic and run around and throw on the move by and large. And that was his goal coming in. Make him sit in the pocket. He knows he's a streaky passer, you know, and he would live with the big good streak. But if you can keep him in there and make him beat you from the pocket, he thought that was his best chance.
Yeah, Roof has, as you said, done a fantastic job. Longtime defensive coordinator. Been at several stops along the college football journey. And Miami going to call a timeout.
Miami. First timeout of the half. 30 seconds. Timeout.
Well, the good news, or the bad news is that last week they hadn't scored at all at halftime against Florida State. The good news is this week they got 6, Rod, if you're looking for bright spots. Well, Monday Night Football's Week 6 matchup has Tennessee taking on Indianapolis. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's. The game also on ESPN2 in Spanish, streaming live on the ESPN app. Your guy Andrew Luck has been on the shelf for a while, huh? With the Colts?
Yeah, bad shoulder.
Wow.
Been that way for a while.
Yeah.
They need him back. Not a good thing.
Talked about some of the legends on hand here today. Ray Lewis amongst them.
He's not putting a jersey on. They could use him. He has no trouble. He had no trouble when he played dealing with an option. Russell Maryland. They just knock guys around.
Warren Sapp as well. They had a Ring of Honor ceremony yesterday here in Miami. Rozier wide open. Langham with the catch. Still on his feet. And that'll make the legends proud. First down to Miami at the 22 with 29 seconds to go.
He's got to play more. All he does is deliver when he's on the field. Game-winning touchdown catch last week. Clutch catch here. And yards after the catch.
Rozier out of the pocket. Complete at the 18-yard line to Herndon, the tight end, with 16 seconds to go, well within field goal range for Badgley.
Well, you've got Langham at 6'4". We know he can leap. He's made plays. We talked about it the last time Miami was down here in the red zone. They used their 5'9" receivers for the fade route and not the 6'4". Q, what do you think of that?
Yeah, you know, Langham's listed at 6'4", 220. That might be on the lower side. He's enormous. And Georgia Tech secondary is not exactly Amazon's. They're in the 5'10", maybe 1 or 2 guys approaching 6-foot range. So there's a decided height and weight advantage for Langham. This is a guy who toiled in the practice squad in 2015 and 16. 4 career catches coming into this game today, but you know he'll go down in Miami lore for that game winner last week, and they'll put him here to the short side of the field where he's likely to attract man-to-man coverage, Rod.
Q, what about energy? We talked this week. We thought Miami might be ripe for an upset just because of all the pats on the back. You feel that down there?
I still do sense that, but I think this team in their minds knows what they can accomplish in the second half.
2nd and 5. Rozier coming back to the short side. Complete. Homer. Touchdown, Canes.
Shades of the man he replaced, Walton, catching the ball out of the backfield. Watch the effort at the end. The right hand extend the ball, left hand extended over the pylon.
Yeah, he hit it.
Yeah. I mean, that presence of mind, look at this. Reaches it out to make sure he gets it inside the pylon. You're talking about a guy who has not had a lot of catches this year, has not had a lot of reps, but is showing you he is all football player.
Yeah, first career touchdown. And obviously the first of the season for Travis Homer. Had a chance to visit with him earlier this week at practice. A really engaging, warm young man, a business management major. And you talk about the legacy of players. They got a legacy of running backs at this school as well.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
You know, some coaches might be tempted here to go for 2 to tie it up, but I'm a firm believer, as I think Mark Richt is, you don't chase points like that.
Too early?
Too early. You wait until you get fourth quarter, or if it's a close game, late third, before you start going for 2. You just keep tacking on, act like you've been here before, like you'll get down here and score again.
Yeah. Hey, this drive started with 1:59 left on the clock. 9 plays, 77 yards. Malik Rozier to Travis Homer. And the hometown crew smiling like Michael Irvin. So bright in here, he's got to put his shades on, folks. So the understudy, Travis Homer, the backup tailback, coming to life in the wake of the surgery to Mark Walton.
Yeah, you also saw Rozier start to heat up, and we talked about it. He can be streaky, and it doesn't bother him. It's almost like he's a basketball player, a great shooter. He can miss 6, 7, 8 in a row. It doesn't affect his confidence.
Just keep jacking.
Yeah, he comes right back with a big throw and catch with Langham, and then comes right back after that and gets Homer. So the bad throws have no impact on him at all.
1-point ball game in a series that has been leaning Miami's way over the last 8 outings between these two schools. Mark Richt has a pretty good record against Paul Johnson going back to his time at Georgia. Cottrell, and he's going to be brought down short of the 20-yard line at the 17 with 7 seconds to go. Rozier catching fire in the second quarter, 9 of 13. Yeah, he was only 19 of 44 last week against Florida State, but he made the big ones when it counted.
Yeah, 0 of 4 in the first quarter, and Georgia Tech dominated the football, so he was standing on the sideline an awful lot.
Grew up a Hurricanes fan in the city of Mobile, Alabama, while his, interestingly enough, his sisters were Seminole fans. How did that work out? Taquan Marshall looking at 1st and 10 with 7 seconds to go. And they're going to run out the clock here and head into the locker room with a 1-point lead. Miami looking for its 5th win of the season, looking to remain undefeated. They trail by 1. Georgia Tech will receive the kick in the second half. The State Farm Halftime Report is coming up after this message, folks, and a word from our ABC stations.
Welcome back to the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
And welcome back, everyone, to college football presented by Walmart. Part of Dos Equis Tailgate. Miami trailing Georgia Tech by 1 as we get ready to start the third quarter of play. Hurricanes got off to a shaky start, Rod Gilmore. They were gashed defensively a couple of times, but a late offensive surge to end the first half, and they're right back in the ballgame.
Yeah, you get the sense that Miami is starting to get a little comfortable. You saw Rozier, find the range, throwing the football a little bit, and so that
onside kick. Sorry, Rod, did not go far enough, and Georgia Tech is going to scoop it up. Miraculously, incredibly, Georgia Tech on the blown onside kick scores a touchdown. Lamont Simmons, wow! They tried to catch Georgia Tech napping and got stung.
Sometimes you roll the dice, you think you have an advantage, and you don't. This ball is up high, easily handled, doesn't go far enough. They were waiting for it, but because you're waiting and standing around, Simmons alertly just picks it up and runs with it.
And the crowd here at Hard Rock Stadium in stunned silence to start the third quarter. You talk about gift wrapping a touchdown for the opposition. It doesn't get any worse than that.
Jonesy, the execution, horrible all the way around for Miami. First of all, you punch it up in the air, it doesn't go 10 yards, and then everyone is trying to stand around and wait for it to go 10 yards, and it's not going to move, and Simmons alertly recognizes he's got a clear field. That is as strange an onside kick as I think I've ever seen, where you've got guys with no sense of urgency standing around, not alert to the fact that Georgia Tech can pick it up and run with it.
And Lamont Simmons, number 6 there, it says, hey, you know what? I'll take this. I got somewhere to go.
A gift.
Wow.
Total gift.
Quinn, what happened?
Guys, the other thing, you know, the mindset that Miami's been kind of intimating all week long is the number of possessions in this game will be less than they typically are. And I almost think that was a case where you were chasing maybe an extra possession.
But QY, you just ended the first half.
You had all the momentum.
You had momentum. You went in the end zone. You were starting to settle down. Why even take the chance?
Kickoff is short at the 9-yard line for Jeff Thomas. Thomas still on his feet. Thomas taken out of bounds near midfield at the 47. A good run back by Thomas on the kickoff. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Some of the cogent points so far in the first half.
Georgia Tech, 172 yards on the ground, and strangely enough, not much out of Marshall on this. They did get a touchdown from Green early in the ball game. They did a great job getting to the edge most of that first half, and then Rozier came to life in that second quarter, finished that last drive 6 of 7 with a touchdown pass to Homer. And again, that's what we're talking about. You end the first half on a positive note with momentum, and then you roll the dice with the onside kick, and it bites you.
Rozier, who was on a roll to end the first half, at the helm here, 1st and 10 from the 47. Keeps it himself and slides down for a gain of about 3 on the play. Let's go to Q.
It's about throwing and catching. The words of Mark Richt, who called Malik Rozier jittery. But he also said that that's been status quo in terms of some poor first half performances this year. He expects Malik to calm down and just do his job. That's what he's looking for here now in this third quarter.
Yeah, Q, we've seen him calm down. We've also seen him effective when he runs the ball, and I think we'll get more of that.
Little bubble screen complete to Langham. Langham trying to get to the edge, close to the first down before he's pushed out of bounds. And there's the long and speedy, lanky receiver we were talking about a little bit earlier. Had the game-winning catch last week against Florida State, picks up 11 there. And a first down for the Hurricanes at Georgia Tech's 40-yard line.
I think they discovered in the second quarter that they can use Homer more. Not just running, but throwing to him out of the backfield.
Homer had his first receiving touchdown of the season. And that pass incomplete to Berrios. You won't see that happen very often. That's a clip and save if you want one.
You know, just a little bit off. You don't find Berrios dropping passes like that. You know, Jonesy, we talked about all the pats on the back. Remember the old song, be aware of the pat on the back. It holds you back.
Yeah, it might be the case here a little bit here for Miami. Slow start once again. Homer on the sweep. Cuts it upfield, but stopped at the 37. Sets up a third and about 7 to go.
Yeah, all week long the talk was the U is back. You know, what a great win over Florida State. What a great quarterback we have. Chance to get into the top 10. All that noise. And, you know, Rick said he tried to get his guys to focus on the nuts and bolts of defending an option attack in a physical game. And all the while, Georgia Tech was like, we gave you one last year. We are looking to get this one today.
Yeah, both of these teams coming in undefeated in ACC Coastal Division play. Rozier under duress and sacked back near midfield at the 50-yard line by Antonio Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons came on a Bit of a cross. He started out on the right side, and you'll see him, loop into the middle of your screen from the right side to the left, right up the middle, unblocked. A nice little stunt that they ran to free him up.
That's the 4th sack of the season for Simmons. And Miami's going to have to punt from their own 36-yard line. Zach Fiegels, after what started like a very promising drive. Stewart with a fair catch at the 18-yard line. 1st down and 10 after the 32-yard punt. Back to Miami Gardens after this.
Welcome back to Dos Equis Tailgate Week.
Welcome back to college football presented by Walmart. Part of Dos Equis Tailgate Week. Miami Gardens, Florida. Part of the Magic City. Great week here of prep, and good to be home for a Saturday.
Clemson went down. Washington State went down. Miami is trailing right now.
Been that type of week for some of the higher-ranked teams in college football. They give it to the dive man. Merskirch picks up 2 on the play.
I still think that for Georgia Tech to be effective, they need Marshall to get going on the ground. He had 8 carries in that first half. No yards for your leading rusher out of the ACC.
2nd and 8. All that, and they still have an 8-point lead. Marshall keeps it. Nice gain for the 1st down. Let's go to Cassidy. Coach Johnson with that option attack at Navy brought it to Georgia Tech and having tremendous success with it. They give it to the dive man. Weimerskirch again picks up about 4 on the play, trying to lull you to sleep in that option offense.
This is how you get frustrated. You give up a cheap score, and then if Georgia Tech comes back with one of those long 5-minute methodical drives, wears you down, and they get another score, it just starts to wear you out.
On the toss, this is J.J. Green, and Green picks up another Yellow Jackets 1st down. J.J. Green is having a heck of a day here today. Has 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving.
Miami has gone all in on stopping the dive and stopping Marshall from running. And Johnson has said, thank you very much. We will run our guys to the edge and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and Mark Richt told me, first of all, Rod, I asked him, I said, is that on the linebackers, the perimeter run game, or the safeties? He goes, no, that's on everybody. And that's kind of what Manny Diaz was emphasizing to us. You stop the dive. If you can make the quarterback pitch or get the ball on the outside, we want to use our speed. And we want to run it down and make all 11 men get there. And that's what we think we do well, the speed.
Yeah, but
we haven't seen that today.
Your speed doesn't do you any good when your inside guys get cut off by blocks. They can't get to the quarterback. They can't get to the pitch because Georgia Tech is doing a good job of getting their guards and getting their tackles in and getting in the way of those linebackers who have to run from inside to outside.
And that's the strength of this offensive line, in particular the center and the left guard. And you'll notice, Marshall, when he's behind center, you'll see that center in a 4-point stance, how high up in the air his butt is, and gigantic splits between the center and the guards create a lot of space.
Yeah, great shot of them right there. Good point, Q. Toss again, and this time the Canes able to run it down outside. Cottrell chopped down on the corner by number 28, Michael Jackson. Jackson got the start on the corner in place of D. Delaney, one of those injured DBs for Miami.
Well, Delaney is one of those guys that has years of experience playing the option, coming over from the Citadel, and he's out. And then you have Redwine out. You have guys who know how to play this, and you've seen some big runs today because of poor angles by guys in the secondary. 2nd and 13.
Marshall back to pass, taking a shot, has a man wide open, complete at the 18-yard line. Knowles got beaten by Ricky June. When they get you big.
When Marshall is throwing, he's not throwing for a first down. He wants the home run. And there is nothing silly about this when you got a job, right? It's the option. It's lulling you to sleep. You know June is going to run deep. You got to get back. You just got to get back. That's Knowles, who was looking into the backfield and allowed June to get behind him.
1st and 10 from the 17. They give it to Weimerskirch. You know, Marshall had talked all week about the fact that he's very close to really breaking out. Said that he's left some big plays on the field on some throws that he's just barely missed on.
He didn't leave that one.
No, he got all of that one.
I mean, he put everything behind that one and put it right for June. And, you know, you don't think of Georgia Tech receivers as being all that because they don't catch a lot of passes. But, man, have they turned out some guys who can catch it and play in the NFL. He might be the next.
2nd and 7. Marshall on the toss. Good tackling that time on Lynch. As the Hurricanes defense converged on him. They were led by Anthony Moten, a 5-yard gain.
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah.
So if you're a wide receiver, why would you go to Georgia Tech, though? You just wait for those big ones?
Well, you know, when you see that kind of legacy, you do go. That's why, you know, a guy like June goes, you know what, I can follow in the footsteps of a Calvin Johnson, Demaryius Thomas. I mean, it worked out pretty well for them. Might work out pretty well for me.
Sure did. 3rd down and 2 coming up from the 9-yard line. Hurricane player shaken up. That was Michael Jackson, cornerback who made the stop a moment ago. 3rd and 2 on what is looking like one of those time-consuming drives by Georgia Tech.
And keep in mind that Johnson's not a fan of the field goal kicking situation he has. This could be 2-down territory for him if they don't pick it up.
Marshall keeps it and gets the 1st down. It'll be 1st and goal for Georgia Tech. 1st-year starter, former running back, switched to quarterback, was 3rd on the 2 deep, and has ascended to number 1. And his first true road start here, performing very well.
Yeah, he was not expected to be the quarterback this year, not expected to be the heir apparent. Took advantage of what was going on in spring when there were injuries, and he got it done, and now he's got a chance to give Georgia Tech control of the Coastal Division.
10th play of the drive. Toss outside to Lynch and run down as the Hurricanes string it out. That was Malik Young. And now that's the way that you talk about them wanting to play, right?
Yeah, you get that ball out quickly right now, and you just treat it as a sweep. And when you can do that and avoid being blocked inside, you just run it down. And they've got the speed to run it down.
Saw some of the greats from Miami history at halftime. One of the Blades brothers here being inducted into the Ring of Honor. So much history with this program, but right now they trail. Battle of 2 unbeatens in ACC play. Marshall looking to pass and sacked. Back at the 17-yard line. Zach McLeod there. And that is a huge play for Miami.
Yeah, McLeod came from the backside. Marshall never saw him. Marshall had a chance to let it fly and get it out of the way, but when he turned around, whoops, there was McLeod.
And Rod, you talked about the fact that with respect to place kicking, they've got some issues. So now it's not goal to go from so close anymore. They're all the way back at the 14. Marshall under heat into the end zone, and June running out of real estate, defended by Young. So 4th and goal. And if you're wondering about Sean Davis, their place kicker, that's not a good thing if you're looking to see a positive sign.
Ouch.
Ice on his knee. That's his left knee. Quint, what's up?
Yeah, Brenton King will take this field goal. Freshman walk-on, right-footed kicker, as Sean Davis hurt his left knee on that last kickoff for Georgia Tech. First college kick here, Jonesy.
There he is. King. Hey, no problem, Q. He drills it to give Georgia Tech an 11-point lead. Answering the call. Looking like a king.
College football on ABC, presented by Walmart, is brought to you by the all-new Type R, the most powerful Civic ever. From Honda and Axe, find your magic.
Look at some of the guys that gave rise to what we now call swag. The University of Miami football program pretty much invented swag. And you saw Michael Irvin, Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp, with some of the very luminous class inducted into the Ring of Honor at the University of Miami. Class of 2017. This year's version of the Canes down, though, by 11, 24-13. Thomas on the return, looking for an alley and brought down at the 25. We go back to Cassidy in the studio. All right, Cassidy. Well, Miami down 11. That's the most that they've trailed this season.
Well, Jonesy, also the anxiety mounts because that was over a 6-minute drive for Georgia Tech. How many more possessions will you get if you're Miami?
They really shortened the game on you. The bubble screen complete to Braxton Berrios, who has been a non-factor here today, Rod.
Yeah, and that's a problem. They need him to be involved. But Jonesy, just anxiety that comes up. You're down 2 possessions. You're not going to get a whole lot more. So there is this sense of you must get something now, because the next time Georgia Tech comes out, it might be another 6-minute drive.
Yeah, they'll eat up that clock on you. Berrios 3 catches for a total of 18 yards today. Wide open down the field, caught. Thomas, one guy to beat. Brought down at the 3. First and goal, Miami.
He may be the fastest guy on the offense, making up for the loss of Richards. This is a big play and a big throw. Rozier gives him a chance, lays it out there for him, lets him run it down, and that frustration, that sense of the need to do something now, they felt it.
Rozier answering. Homer with nowhere to go, stopped up at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd and goal. But that big play to Jeff Thomas, who had an outstanding week in practice, was a career-long pass catch.
Well, the beautiful thing about that, it was a well-designed play. They rode Rozier, and he just put it out there and let Thomas run it down.
See if they go to one of those tall receivers here, Rod, in the shadows of the end zone. Rozier lobs it up. Back shoulder fade incomplete for Thomas. And we're looking at 3rd and goal. He was working against Lawrence. That's been a problem.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, they've thrown that route in the end zone maybe 4 or 5 times today, and each time to their small receivers, and it hasn't worked. So at some point, don't you change?
Well, looking at 3rd and goal.
I mean, I'd like to see Langham out there with his 6'4", 5', 6", 7-inch frame that Q told us about.
Got Harley, Berrios, and Jeff Thomas in his receivers here. Rozier tried to squeeze it in, and it was caught off the deflection by Tyler Gauthier, the offensive lineman, preventing an interception perhaps.
Yeah.
And 4th goal, in comes the field goal unit.
Yeah, just run it, Rozier. I mean, nothing's there. He's better off taking off. And trying to force this one in there almost proved disastrous. If I'm Mark Richt, I'm telling him, I like our chances better with you and your feet than that throw.
Yeah, he tried to squeeze it in a tight window to Berrios, who had the defender all over him. Badgley in to attempt this field goal. He's 2 of 2 today. This one from 21 yards out. Snap down. The kick is good and feels like a little bit of a win, a big win for Georgia Tech defensively after that huge gain. Back to Miami Gardens after this.
Coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN from Miami Gardens, Florida. Miami taking on Georgia Tech as we take a look at the AP Top 10 for Week 7, brought to you by AT&T. And some upsets up there, Rob.
Yeah, you saw Clemson go down. You saw Washington State go down.
Yeah, there have been a few shakeups coming our way. Petrell, and he's brought down shy of the 20-yard line. Forward progress at about the 19.
Washington State, right there, number 8. They're done. I think TCU is underranked.
Really?
Yeah. You consider their 2 wins over top 25 teams. I think they're underranked. And they'll get a chance to move up. I think when the committee looks at this is the AP poll. When the committee looks at these things, those number of top 25 wins really matter. And if you've got those, you'll get ranked higher.
Miami is just on the cusp of that top 10 with an opportunity to move up with those 2 losses by Clemson and Washington State, but trailing Georgia Tech. That's Cersei on the run. Let's go back, Cassidy. Hey, Rod, how big for Miami's defense to get a 3 and out here?
Huge. You know, you're still down 2 possessions. You know that Georgia Tech can control the clock. You got to get a ball back and get another possession quickly.
Marshall on the pitch. Good wrap-up tackle, but Green kept moving forward, and he's marked a little bit short of the first down, Q.
Yeah, Georgia Tech now operating without Kervonte Benson, their B-back or fullback. He's their second leading rusher on the year. Right leg injury. He is done for the day.
Well, Q, keep in mind that Marshall has not been a real effective runner today for Georgia Tech, so your 2 top rushers really haven't gotten it done for you, but they've been able to use other guys and get to the edge.
Yeah, true. The key for me, though, for the Yellow Jackets, no fumbles. Remember, they came into the season with 14 fumbles, 8 fumbles lost. That's been an issue for Marshall, especially when he pitches to his left. You know, as a new quarterback in the option offense, his pitch to his right is really smooth. His left-handed, his off-handed pitch doesn't look so sharp. So, you know, we haven't seen the turnover chain, and I think that's one of the reasons why Georgia Tech has the lead.
Q, huge 3rd down here. By my count, I think no more than 2 or 3 more possessions for Miami.
Yeah, no, they'll sneak this over the right guard. You're talking about 380 pounds, Shamir Devine.
Yeah, they go number 71. You'll watch him line up. Almost 400 pounds.
You can't miss him, folks.
Yeah, if they don't run behind him, we'll all be stunned.
Marshall on the center. And he picks up enough for the first down. And they move the chains with under 2.5 minutes to go.
Jones, you got 400 pounds coming at you. You're going to stand there, or you're going to get out of the way?
I'm moving. I'm ducking.
You're moving?
I'm falling down and making it look good on film for the coaches.
Yeah, you're getting crushed if you're in front of that.
That is a mountain of a young man right there. Shamir Devine out of Atlanta. 6'7", 380. Marshall keeps it and is tackled at the 33. Well, tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. Utah heads into the Coliseum to take on number 13 USC. This game streaming live on the ESPN app.
Sam Darnold.
Is he still your number 1 quarterback off the board so far?
Yeah. Not a lot of folks talking about him for the Heisman, but you know what? You got 1 game in the Coliseum where he hasn't lost, and they got to get things on track. My guess is that he'll be lights out tonight.
Give me Bryce Love if you're talking Heisman. I'm sorry.
There you go.
On 2nd and 7, They give it to the dive man, Weimerskirch, and nowhere to go. First man through picks up a yard on the play. Third down coming up, but the question begs, can the Canes get off the field defensively? At what point do they start getting a little gassed, Rod? You think they've gotten there yet?
I think they feel it. They need to get off the field. You can see the heavy breathing right now. They do need to get this third down and get off the field and save possessions for the offense.
Well, they're used to practicing in the heat down here in South Florida. Temperatures reaching almost over 100 degrees with the humidity. Marshall going to take a shot, tipped and incomplete. The Canes almost with their first turnover. Jaquan Johnson had an opportunity but couldn't get there. But fourth down coming up.
Well, he had Searcy, but Searcy fell down. And if Searcy doesn't fall down, that is a catch and a first down Georgia Tech football. But he just lost his footing on the soft turf, and now Miami gets the ball back. Looks like they will get the ball back.
Braxton Berrios standing at his own 20-yard line. Presley Harvey, averaging about 45 yards per punt on the season, is third of the day. An end-over-end punt at the 23. Berrios cut down immediately at the 24-yard line. A 42-yard punt, 2 on the return. With 33 seconds to go, Berrios blowing a tire. Rozier trying to get the job done. When do we come back? The ball first and 10. They trail Georgia Tech by 8 points. Well, tonight on ESPN after the Washington-Arizona State game. Stick around for Sports Center at night. Stan Verrett, Linda Cohn with all the highlights and reactions from Dodgers, Cubs, Game 2 between the Yankees, Astros, Texas, Oklahoma, all the college football highlights and analysis also streaming live on the ESPN app. First and 10 from Malik Rozier. Complete over the middle to Langham. He of the game-winning touchdown last week. Working against Step Durham. First and 10, Miami on the 13-yard gain.
Do I dare repeat it? We've been asking to see him all day.
Big target, Rod. 6'5".
Big target, yep. And when he's on the field, he just makes plays.
Berrios, the slot receiver to the bottom of your screen. Rozier looks that way, but instead it's Mullins, and Mullins is going to be about 4 yards short of the first down, and that's the end of the third quarter of play. Georgia Tech leads by 8. Is there another fourth quarter magical comeback by Berrios and the Hurricanes? We'll find out. College football continues after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Ominous skies here in South Florida. It's about that time of the day, this time of the year. Starting to rain, but we're just kind of used to it down here. Mark Jones alongside Rod Gilmore. Quinn Kessenich down on the field. A lot at stake. Both teams undefeated in Coastal Division play. The winner of this one has a leg up, Rod.
Yeah, control of the division, and then also remember Miami with a shot to get into the top 10 with the win, considering what's happened this weekend already.
Miami with their 9th possession of the ball game. Rozier picks up the first down and into Georgia Tech territory. Cassidy, back to you. All right, it is really coming down hard. First and 10 after that 7-yard pickup. Rozier caught, and there's that man again. Darrell Langhamrod with another first down. 16-yard gain, and they move the chains.
Yeah, just a drag route. He comes up with another great catch on a highly thrown ball in the rain. You can throw the ball in the rain, Jonesy.
It got there. Homer on the carry inside the 30 down to the 26-yard line. Antonio Simmons making the tackle, Clint.
Absolutely pouring, as it has here in South Florida all week long at times. This one isolated cloud, and you're looking at a Georgia Tech defense playing without their 2 leading tacklers. Brant Mitchell, middle linebacker, has not played in the second half. Lower body. Lawrence Austin, the nickel, number 20, taken to the locker room. Looked like cramps.
Missing some guys. A gaping hole. Homer. Home run Canes. Homer with his 4th rushing touchdown of the season after earlier picking up his first receiving touchdown of the season.
Well, Q mentioned Mitchell and Austin being out, and they ran and blocked right where those guys would have been. And now, yeah, 4th quarter, you can go for 2. This is a good decision here. Down 2. Taking your shot now.
In the driving rain, Rozier over the middle. Incomplete, intended for the tight end Herndon, deflected by A.J. Gray. So the Canes remain 2 points back as we get started in the 4th.
You wonder what would happen with Walton out, and Homer has delivered another big play. But the 2-point conversion, little rain, little high throw, little defensive play by Gray. Tech still up by 2.
Georgia Tech leads Miami 24-22 in the 4th quarter as we continue our coverage of the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week. And what a finish we're set up for here in Miami Gardens, Florida. Mark Jones, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick down to the field, and the block is hot. Petrell on the return for Georgia Tech. Still on his feet. And makes his way out to the 40. One more look at that touchdown. What was the key there, Rob?
Well, I want you to see the huge hole that gets created. Watch what happens to the inside defenders here. Not the best tacklers left after all the injuries Hugh told you about. But look at how the linemen get out. And they open up this huge, huge hole for Homer. He catches it and just has to make a guy miss, cuts to the edge. But that blocking at the point of attack and getting those inside backers out of there created a huge play.
First down. Weimer-Skirch brought down by Shaq Quarterman, one of the leaders defensively, Quint.
This rain is a game changer for this option offense. They have got to keep the ball dry when it's down on the field. Marshall has got to be really careful in his mesh and his pitch. And this is just not what you wanted if you're a Georgia Tech fan.
Yeah, you know, Q, the rain helps Miami's passing attack and hurts Georgia Tech's rushing attack.
2nd and 5. Another tackle in the middle by Shaq Quarterman. Brought down Weimer-Skirch. You know, Quarterman told me that he got the guys to play mad all week in practice to get ready for this option. There's a look at the turnover situation for Georgia Tech, but doing very well in that category today.
Yeah, and you know, you wonder here, does Georgia Tech have the confidence to throw it in this situation in the rain? I'm guessing not. I mean, they don't typically run a lot of those short routes. I would imagine that they're more inclined to go to, you know, one of their edge plays here.
Ricky June is split to the bottom of your screen, number 2. Marshall to throw. It's a race to the sidelines, and the Canes won it. Trent Harris ran him down in pursuit, and it's 4th down coming up.
The wet field kept Marshall from being able to cut upfield. Watch him as he comes out to his right. Bad footing. Look at all the mud. He can't really turn it up. And a terrific job by Harris running straight down the line.
Oh, look at Mark Richt.
Forcing Richt to
by
show
the coach.
He's got some vertigo, huh?
Some agility there by Mark Richt on the sidelines. Seen coaches blow their knees out like that. High snap. But Georgia Tech is going to get the punt off, and a good one. Berrios watches it stop in the rain, dead at the 10-yard line after the 44-yard punt. Malik Rozier led them to a touchdown last time Will Berrios and Rozier team up again? Back after this.
College football on ABC is presented by Walmart. Walmart, save money, live better. In part by Pacific Life, experience the power of Pacific. And Nissan, innovation that excites.
Mark Richt, the head coach of the Hurricanes, avoiding potential injury right there. Rod, with tremendous agility, the former UM quarterback, showing he's still got some skills.
Yeah, and he looked at it like that was nothing. That's all that work on the box jumps.
Tell you what, he's got it going here again at the University of Miami. Great recruiting class, ranked number 4 so far by our people at ESPN, getting all the great players out of Miami Central, Booker T, Carroll City. 1st and 10. Rozier out of the end zone. Homer couldn't handle it. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Some of the pertinent points of the game.
Yeah, Miami 11 possessions, 4 punts, 3 field goals, and Georgia Tech hasn't had to throw it much. A slow start tonight for Rozier, but he's come on as we expected that he would. He gets settled down and play with poise as he did against Florida State, and that's the primary reason you've got Miami back in this game after having been down most of the game.
Offense had been dormant for most of the first half. Homer got a blocker in front of him, and a first down beyond the 30 for Travis Homer, making his first start of the season in place of running back Mark Walton. Picks up 21.
Yeah, they did a tremendous job on the right side. You'll see the block down on the right side, crushing everything, and pull 2 guys. Now you got a huge effort to get to the edge. No edge support.
Out of the shotgun this time, Rozier keeps it himself. Couldn't get to the edge and pushed out of bounds at about the 33 by Lawrence Austin.
Not to go back to a sore spot, but you start the 3rd quarter down 14-13, and you try an onside kick if you're Miami.
Yeah.
Still, I wonder why.
Yeah.
That you gave away a touchdown. Gave 7 points to Georgia Tech when you had momentum on your side, and now you're in a game here. You'd like to have that play back all over again and say, no onside kick.
That really swung things to start the second half. 2nd and 8. Homer's rushed for 137 yards and trying to add to the total here. Puts his hat down and some hard-earned yardage. Got a good block from Gauthier. Picked up 6 on the play. 3rd down coming up for Miami. Have to hang on to the ball.
Tell you, the momentum, though, Rod, has really shifted to the Canes. This storm is Miami. This team is this city. These fans are loving the pouring rain, and this team is emboldened and energized by the downfall.
3rd down and 3, Q. A whistle and ball start against the Canes, so that might change things a little bit. And one thing about the rain, when it rains like this pretty much every day in South Florida, so these guys are used to it.
Well, and I think Q's right. It has given them some energy, but it's also helped the passing attack. Georgia Tech can't really rush the quarterback. When you get rain and you get bad footing, those big guys up front have trouble getting to the quarterback. It's easier for the linemen to push him around. So you would expect here on a 3rd and 8 or so that Rozier will have plenty of time to pick out a guy.
4 receivers out on this play. Miami has only led once when it was 3-0. Rozier escapes harm. Slings it. Berrios incomplete. Couldn't get there in time. The pass a little bit out of his reach. Went to his go-to guy, but good pressure from Kashawn Freeman.
Yeah, drive field. Freeman makes this play. Can't adjust. One little move, he's outside. Freeman got the jump on the tackle out there, but the field did not allow him to make the play.
And instead, it's going to be the 5th punt of the afternoon for Zach Fiegels. And it'll go out of bounds at the 27-yard line. When it rains like this in South Florida, I'll tell you for a fact, it's good for your water bill. Now let's take a look at our All-State all hands in play.
Well, talk about good hands. How about number 28, Green, on a little delay? That option lulls you to sleep, and he's out there. And this, the best all hands in. Simmons watches the onside kick. Barrio sits there and waits for it to go 10 yards. It's not going. Simmons alertly picks it up, and all of a sudden Georgia Tech jumped out ahead early in that third quarter.
Miami's defense needs a play here. We haven't seen that turnover chain today from the Hurricanes. Marshall slipping and sliding and brought down at the 23 by Kendrick Norton and Zach McLeod.
He's
second and long.
He's been bottled up all day. Your leading ACC rusher doesn't have more than 10 yards rushing. 15 rushes for 6 yards today. We're talking about a guy who went for 249 against Tennessee.
Second and 13. Got a whistle, and might have been a little movement up front on that offensive line, number 67. That's against Georgia Tech. Stickler. That's the first penalty of the day against Georgia Tech.
So you see the yards. Georgia Tech started out fast, picked it up in the third quarter. Nothing here in the fourth quarter. They don't have Benson. Marshall isn't running it effectively. They are struggling to find a way to generate something, and at a 2nd and 17 with your option offense, that's not ideal.
All that, and they lead by 2. Marshall going to pass it downfield. Nobody home. Not even close. And it's going to be 3rd and 17. A little malfunction at the junction between Marshall and his receivers.
Yeah, he was looking for Ricky June on a comeback, but June ran a post. They weren't on the same page at all. Now, how conservative do you get if you're Paul Johnson? 3rd and 17. This is not ideal for an attack that doesn't throw it that well or that often.
In the rain, too. Marshall almost sacked, escapes, and wisely throws it away. So the Hurricane defense rises up. R.J. McIntosh and Trent Harris with the heat.
Yeah, one man comes free. McIntosh gets in there, and a smart play by Marshall to get rid of it. Now, Miami ought to get good field position somewhere around the 40-45 yard line.
And Rod, Georgia Tech only had the ball for 1:10.
Yeah.
Braxton Berrios, the entrepreneurship major, trying to be enterprising here on this return, and a great punt by Presley Harvin. It bounces all the way down to the 19-yard line. That is clutch.
Gotta catch those.
A 62-yard punt, and a long way to go for Berrios in Miami. Welcome back, everyone, to college football presented by Walmart. Georgia Tech leading by 2, part of Dos Equis Tailgate Week. All-State is proud to be part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds. 1st and 10 Miami from their own 19-yard line. Malik Rozier, the first-year starter at helm at quarterback.
Hey, Jonesy, they get a player back. Austin. Lawrence Austin back on the field. Need him, good tackler and a good guy to match up with Berrios. Has had a good day, but remember he left for a while.
They've kind of kept Berrios in check today. Berrios, the reigning ACC receiver of the week, had a couple of touchdowns last week. Only 3 receptions here today, and I can kind of see him at the next level. Rod, drafted by the New England Patriots, that slot receiver, that Danny Amendola type. Wes Welker.
Yep, very much like that. Very much so. Good routes, good hands, toughness, clutch guy.
We have a problem with one of the officials' microphones. 8:06 to go. They got the Rick Ross and Luke Campbell music blaring here at Hard Rock Stadium. That means the crowd is ready to roar. And don't forget, coming up tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Utah taking on USC in Pac-12 action.
USC getting a little bit healthier. Ronald Jones, their star running back, rounding back into form, should help them tonight. And that Pac-12 South, wide open. People keep expecting USC to take control over it, but wait and see.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Hey, Washington in Arizona State tonight. They got to be careful with all the upsets. First down and 10. Homer, a yawning hole, and Homer with a first down out to the 33. A.J. Gray, number 5, making the tackle on the play for Georgia Tech, but a 13-yard gain by Miami.
He's been up to the task tonight for Walton.
Gone well over 100 yards this afternoon. And into the evening, 155 yards on 16 rushes for Travis Homer. Homer again on the fake, and Rozier kept it actually and picked up about 3. Back to Cassidy.
Man. Cassidy bringing it with all kinds of crazy stuff happening.
What about
Texas?
That?
Wow.
Second and 7. And this time, Homer stopped up with nowhere to go. St. Amour.
Every time we have one of these weekends, we don't think there's a ranked versus ranked great matchup. Yeah. We get this chaos. Clemson goes down. Washington State goes down. Oklahoma's in trouble. Miami's in trouble. I mean, can we stand this?
Yeah,
can we handle this?
Yeah, we're still a ways out from the first college football playoff rankings. I love it when you tell everyone on the crew to pump our brakes. 3rd and 8. Kane's got to sustain the drive. Rozier's going to be sacked back at the 32-yard line with 6:12 to go. St. Amour again. And boy, the punt team has to come in.
Yeah,
and the clock a factor.
Great defense, coverage, sack, nowhere to go with the ball. Pocket is there momentarily before you get that pressure from Alexander off the edge. You saw it. Nice little pocket for him, but eventually Alexander got there. That defense, that was a tremendous stand for Georgia Tech.
Eagles with the punt. Not a great punt. And it comes at absolutely the worst time for the Hurricanes. This is going to be marked near midfield at the 45-yard line for Georgia Tech. Just a 23-yard punt with 5:44 to go. And it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets.
Well, Jonesy, their offense in the second half has been non-existent. Marshall hasn't been able to run it. Benson has been out. 3rd leading rusher in the ACC. So your 2 primary rushers have not done much. 88 yards in the second half. Where does the offense come from?
Trying to close this out. Marshall keeps it himself, falling forward for about 3 yards. McIntosh making the stop on the play. Miami with 3 timeouts remaining.
Georgia Tech can't afford negative plays. They can't fall behind the chains. They need 2nd and 6. They need 3rd and 2. At 2nd and 10, we saw on the last drive, or 2nd and 17 was a problem. This is a really big 2nd down for this offense.
Marshall, toss. Boy, that thing was in the air a long time for Searcy. Wow, a dangerous toss, Rod Gilmore, that made it to its target.
It almost looked like Johnson, the safety, his eyes got big, like that ball's coming to me. He's sitting right there, right outside, wow. And that ball goes to Searcy. But Johnson was sitting there looking like that ball was coming to him.
The leading team in the ACC causing turnovers. Miami has not caused one today. 3rd and 4 coming up for Georgia Tech. And we got a timeout on the field called by Georgia Tech as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary and some of the cogent points in this football game today. A tightly contested contest between two teams atop the Coastal Division.
Yeah, you see the possessions there. Miami got a few more in the second half to get closer. They've not been great in the red zone. A lot of field goals. Georgia Tech, a lot of rushes, and they've struggled in the second half without Benson and Marshall not being able to run that well. Homer has been everything Miami could have hoped for offensively, stepping in for the injured Walton.
And a huge 3rd and 4 coming up for the Canes defensively. Georgia Tech trying to hang on to the football and close this one out. Yellow Jackets just 3 of 11 on 3rd down conversions. Marshall into the boundary, lunges and gets the first down. A clutch play by Marshall, who went airborne over Michael Jackson. He was the real thriller on that play.
Are you kidding me? This presence of mind, recognizing situation and where the ball is, making sure that he gets into the first down zone with bad footing out there, Q.
Yeah, you know, and I think Coach Johnson had that one in his back pocket for a clutch situation, because I'm not sure we've seen that play so far. A little misdirection counter by the QB.
The good coaches always save something for the fourth quarter on offense and defense.
1st and 10. Marshall sacked back at the 47-yard line by R.J. McIntosh, but under 4 minutes now remaining in the ball game. The clock working against the Canes right here.
Well, Manny Diaz being aggressive on 1st down, trying to make sure he creates 2nd and long for Georgia Tech. Excellent call there. Now he has his offense where he wants them to be. Do you think in terms of, well, they don't want to throw it. You know that there's still option, but they don't want to pitch it that much because of the weather. You're thinking safe things, quarterback keeping the ball, running it to the edge with the minimum of pitches.
Manny Diaz, Miami native, back home as their defensive coordinator, looking for his unit to get a big play here. Marshall going to tuck it under and come up short at the 41-yard line. 3rd down and about 7 to go. Earlier today, the national championship trophy presented by Dr. Pepper here at Hard Rock Stadium. Fans getting a chance to get some pics with it.
We are a long way from deciding who's going to get that bad boy, but we know this. It's wide open, and Miami with a shot, if they can come back here tonight, a shot to get into the top 10.
Well, they got 5 of those trophies here. Looking for number 6. On 3rd and 8, Marshall over the middle. Incomplete. At the 29-yard line, Jackson broke it up. Took it out of the arms, and he hit Brad Stewart.
Well, Stewart had this, but Jackson would not quit. It's all right to get beat, but you keep competing. Watch him hang in here. He hangs in and he gets the ball out. That is a 1st down catch. It should have been by Stewart, but Jackson stayed in there, kept fighting, and got the ball out. That is a tremendous, tremendous job.
And number 27 right there, Harvin, the punter, has done a great job today, averaging 48 yards a punt. He has come up big for Georgia Tech various times, and now again, Rod, pinning them inside the 10-yard line at the 8. 92 yards to go. Berrios, Rozier, the Hurricanes looking for one last gasp effort here. And remember, they missed a 2-point conversion attempt earlier, Rod.
Yeah, 2 critical plays stand out for me in this ball game. After Homer's touchdown, an opportunity here, but Gray knocks away the 2-point conversion, which keeps Georgia Tech ahead by 2. And remember, as great as Miami has played in the second half, particularly on defense, the other big play, the onside kick that became a touchdown for Georgia Tech.
Yeah. As easy a touchdown as they'll get all year.
It was a gift. You take away the gift, Miami's ahead in this ball game.
Now they might just have to get into Michael Badgley's field goal range. He has a long of 50. Remember, though, in the last 2 drives last week, Malik Rozier did what he had to do. He got the ball into the end zone. Can he do it again? That pass low and incomplete at the 22, intended for Langham. It'll be 2nd down and 10 with 2:24 to go.
Clutch time, clutch receivers. Langham has shown he can make big plays. Berrios has been rather quiet today, but he is still your most reliable receiver out there.
2nd and 10. Berrios in the slot to the bottom of your screen. Langham wide to the top. Berrios on the bubble screen, got a block on the edge. 1st down out to the 22-yard line. Braxton Berrios mullins the receiver with a good block, and Berrios trying to shake out the cobwebs on the 14-yard gain. Clock running with 2:12 to go. No time to waste for Miami. Another bubble screen. Berrios again. Lunging for the 1st down. Where are they going to spot it? Out of bounds, about a yard shy. Lance Austin with a nice tackle on the edge.
Nothing fancy. Just get the ball to a clutch guy. Let him get you in rhythm, get a few yards for you, get you out of the shadow of your own goalpost.
First place in the Coastal Division on the line here. 2nd and 1. Homer picks up the 1st down at the 34-yard line. Miami with 3 timeouts remaining.
And plenty of time. And also, Jonesy, you only need 3. You don't necessarily need the touchdown.
They got to get to about the 33-yard line. Berrios, tough footing on the outside, cuts it up to the 37. Austin with another tackle, and his hat comes off, so he's got to come out for a play.
Yeah, Georgia Tech has been playing off, giving that bubble screen there, and Rozier has been content to take it.
Second and 6. Another screen to the tight end, Herndon. And Herndon makes it out towards the 44-yard line. Remember, Badgley has a career long of 57 yards for Miami. This year he's kicked one from 50 already.
He's got a big leg, not the best conditions out there.
1:33 to go. Does Miami have another miracle finish in them? Herndon again. Giving him some yards after the catch. To the 44-yard line, Quinton, a 1st down.
Yeah, and the Canes are working the sideline to perfection. Stop the clock. The added bonus, you get a drive football from the ball boys on the sideline.
Yeah, Q, and they're trying to force Georgia Tech to tackle late in the ball game, tired and beat up.
Herndon again. Keeps those legs moving. Down to the 35, and they're right now in field goal range for Michael Badgley.
That's a 250-pound tight end that you have to tackle. He dragged some people. This has been a beautiful drive called by Mark Richt, who's back to calling plays.
He said he wanted to get more involved, not just be the CEO. He's having fun, and it's a lot more fun when you win football games. 4-0 coming to this one today. Miami with 3 timeouts remaining. Mark Richt is 7-2 against his counterpart, Paul Johnson, lifetime. Rozier is connected on his last 5 passes, much like last week when he was hot against Florida State.
Rozier going to take a shot, and it is caught into the end zone. Touchdown, Miami! Miami ends the streak. Florida State's 7-game win streak over the Hurricanes is over. Miami stays undefeated.
It's been a big emotional week for those two guys, heroes in Miami lore. A lot of distractions, a lot of pats on the back. Georgia Tech focused, and could they get it done, or were they ripe for the upset?
2nd and 1 coming up at the 34-yard line. In field goal range of Michael Badgley. Berrios got it. Got a great block. First down inside the 30 at the 28. Mullins. Those receivers block well, don't they, Rob?
Yeah, you know, I'm surprised we haven't seen an adjustment from Georgia Tech.
And we got a flag down on the play. Let's see what it's about.
Illegal block below the waist. Offense. 15 penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
So in the irony of all the cut blocks we talk about, Miami gets called for one.
Yeah. Huh? I think they got Mullins. Yeah, I think they got one of the receivers, Mullins, out there. But going back to Georgia Tech, I'm surprised that they haven't moved Austin up closer to Barrios.
Why is that?
Well, he's 7, 8 yards off, and they've had 4 bubble screens right in front of him, you know, to get a block and get yardage. At some point, you move your nickel back up, and you take away that throw by alignment. And they haven't done that.
So this pushes the ball all the way back to the 44, it looks like they're going to mark it. And no longer in field goal range.
Yeah, here's the lineup I've been talking about. You see where Austin is? And now he's moved up. But for so many plays on this drive, he's been 7, 8 yards deep. Now he's at about 3 or 4 yards.
Rozier. Underneath, little contact. And no flag. Lamont Simmons right there, number 6, who had that touchdown off the onside kick earlier.
Yeah, it's a good play. Watch him get that right hand around, knocks it down. It's a good play.
3rd down coming up. And still not in field goal range. Homer with nowhere to go. Georgia Tech's defense coming up huge there. And it sets up 4th down with 41 seconds to go. Miami has to call a timeout.
Timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Let's go to Cassidy into the studio. Not in range.
Wow.
All right, Cassidy, and boy, that penalty rod really changed the complexion of things for Miami with the run that they had no success with, and now they're looking at 4th down and not in field goal range.
Well, you talk this one over and you have to figure out, is there any way? You ask your kicker, can you make this? And if not, you have no choice. You have to go for this on 4th down to give yourself a chance. And right now, you look at where that ball is spotted.
43 would be a 60-yard field goal.
A 60-yard field goal on a wet field, you know, little wind, doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. So you come up with your best 4th down play right now.
Yeah, his career long is 57 yards, and it was against Georgia Tech in 2015.
Well, it seems to me that your best option is probably Langham, the hero from last week. Give him a chance to go up and make a catch and get you a 1st down.
Berrios, the inside receiver, to the bottom of your screen.
I think your play is up there.
That's where they look. Taking a shot. Caught by Langham! Another magic miracle by Miami! And in field goal range.
Well, that's the matchup. That's the one they needed. They should have been looking to. Now you have a shot.
And they spike it, stopping the clock. He only played 2 plays last week. and had the game-winning touchdown, and he comes up huge again here, Rod.
Yeah, they play press man with him, safety over the top, doesn't get there. Gray's got to lean. You got to know that's the matchup that they need on that 4th down, and what a tremendous effort and concentration by that guy.
That ball was underthrown.
He just makes play after play when he's on the field. He's got to be on the field more for Miami.
6'4", a big target. Rozier out of the shotgun. Homer got a block. Holding on to that football, and he gets another 1st down. The pile moving. 1st and goal, Miami. And they can afford to think touchdown here. First place in the division on the line.
First place, likely a top 10 ranking if they can get this done.
Here's a Georgia Tech player.
Brentavious Glanton, number 97, the injured Georgia Tech player. And with all the Miami greats and legends watching, like Michael Irvin, Ray Lewis, Gino Torretta, there's a little feeling of history here at Hard Rock Stadium. A huge comeback by this year's edition of the Hurricanes, just 21 seconds away potentially from the 4-yard line. It's 1st and goal, and the big play once again to Darrell Langham, a guy that has labored, has languished for 2 years, hasn't really been that prominent, but once again on the receiving end of a huge play from quarterback Malik Rozier.
What a 2 weeks he's had. Game-winning touchdown catch last week, and then a huge 4th down catch here to keep Miami's drives and their hopes alive.
5 catches for 100 yards. There's a look at the current drive. It started deep in Miami territory.
That man has ice water in his veins. Started poorly, needed 2 game-winning drives last week, got them, needed a game-winning drive this week, and he has calmly moved his team into position. Look what he's done, 8 of 10.
He is clutch. 1st and goal, here we go. And he puts it in the middle of the field. Looks like they're playing for the field goal here. He ran it right into the middle of the field for Michael Badgley, the field goal kicker, who with 8 seconds to go, this is pretty much an extra point attempt.
Timeout, Georgia Tech. It's Miami. Their 3rd and final timeout.
Paul Johnson is going to try and put him on ice, though,
He wasn't.
as he calls a timeout. They've got 1 remaining. There's actually a Miami timeout. He's made 3 already today. From 33, 32, and 21. 5 of 6 on the year coming in. Quick.
Mark, they've got a dry football, which is ideal. The only thing you worry about here as a field goal kicker is that plant foot, because this turf has taken a ton of water tonight.
Yeah, it's been nasty down there, especially in the second half. From 24 yards out. For the win. The Hurricanes take the lead. The only other lead for the Hurricanes was at 3-0. Georgia Tech stunned on the other side of the field.
Good snap. Perfect kick.
Feeling like old times for the Hurricanes. That's a kick that Carlos Huerta would have been proud of. It's not the old Orange Bowl, but it just feels just a little bit like it. 16 plays, 85 yards. Malik Rozier, Captain Cool, Captain Clutch, using up 2:26 on the clock.
I don't think Miami fans can handle him doing this every week. Clutch. Last minute game-winning performances. Huge performance.
And they kick it off deep with 4 seconds to go. Cottrell. They're going to try and lateral their way into the end zone. An alley there for Ricky June. Still alive. And it's over. The Hurricanes come back.